last night, I already mentioned it. Green Bay Packers, tough loss to the Seattle Seahawks, 27-24 in a game that going in, most people said was essentially an elimination game. Now, the Packers aren't technically out
right,
of it.
not mathematically. They're not out of anything yet.
They just have not been playing. Well, they're 4-5-1, so
and they're 0-5.
They have to make a nice run, though.
The problem is that they're undefeated at home, but they lost all 5 road games. And there have been some bad ones where I think the Washington was a tie, right? Wasn't that in D.C.?
Was it the Washington?
Right,
yeah,
and then they lost to the Lions when Mason Crosby missed those 4 or 5 field goals. So that was another game that they should have won if he made half of the field goals or whatever. But anyway, so it has been bad for them.
Are you making excuses?
No, I'm not. I'm just telling it like it is.
Okay.
Putting it out there.
Well, nobody's making excuses for Mike McCarthy, the head coach. And he is catching a lot of heat now. And mainly for a 4th and 2 call where they had the ball at their own 33.
The game was on the line. I don't know.
A little over 4 minutes left.
Wasn't that a first guess? Didn't you go, what are you doing?
Oh, yeah, no question.
That's what I said.
No question. 4 minutes left down with the great quarterback like Aaron Rodgers.
But you have one
timeout left.
And your defense, which was banged up last night, was giving up 5 yards a carry.
Yep.
So
it's the best rushing team in the league anyway.
So 3 or 4
Seattle.
Carries and the game is over because you can't really stop the clock, right?
Yep.
So that's why you couldn't really give them the ball back.
Right. And he made that decision, that gamble, and it backfired. They never saw the ball again. So a lot of people
but there was another
are jumping
thing too.
on him for that. Well, the Tyler Lockett catch that looked like a non-catch.
It looked like it bobbled, like he bobbled
it hit the ground.
Right.
And, it's so hard to judge nowadays what's a catch and even more so, what the officials are going to call a catch. But it seems like there's universal sentiment that McCarthy should have challenged that and he would have won.
Right.
And he didn't. It was a 34-yard completion that set up the final score, the go-ahead score for Seattle.
You don't know what would have happened if you took that away. You know what I mean? And I'm not saying
if they take that away, it
might not have been.
Maybe you stop them. I mean, again, their defense is leaky, but you certainly got to go for it. Now, he only had one timeout left. If he loses the challenge, does he lose?
You lose a timeout.
So I guess that's what he was thinking. But Mike McCarthy, look, and there's other things. I mean, if you go throughout the whole year, they haven't really been good on third down. Their execution has not been up to snuff. And, Rob, let's just say it. I think barring a miraculous turnaround, and maybe not miraculous, but barring a really good turnaround and them making the playoffs, I think Mike McCarthy has to go.
I do not disagree with you. In fact, I think the Packers should fire McCarthy at the end of this year. It's been a long time. Regardless. Even if they just sneak into the playoffs.
Anything but a Super Bowl.
Exactly.
Right.
Unless they make a Super Bowl run or something. He's been here a long time. I don't know exactly. What has it been?
13th year, I believe.
13 years is a long time in the NFL to be a coach.
Yeah.
And they won a Super Bowl, and they've always won the division. And I give you, he's been there for that long because he's produced. But the last few years just haven't felt the same.
No.
And sometimes you just need another voice.
It'll be the second straight year. Now, granted, last year you didn't have
Rodgers. Right, he was hurt. But you know what I'm saying.
Second straight year you didn't make the playoffs. And you're saying you're right on the money because it doesn't mean he's a bad coach.
No, or that he couldn't get a job somewhere else.
Right.
Because there's talk that maybe he'll go to Cleveland because, and Baker Mayfield because he worked with Brett Favre.
Yep.
He worked with Aaron Rodgers. So Baker Mayfield fits that mold, and maybe you go and you hire him, and then you're bringing to Cleveland. You're also bringing a coach who has a Super Bowl under his belt.
Right.
So you know what I mean?
Although the last time they went to Green Bay for a hire, it didn't work out.
Yeah.
with Mike Holmgren.
Exactly.
But still, McCarthy would be a good choice, at least on paper, for the Cleveland Browns. But the point you make is, and this happens in many sports, the great Pat Riley even said it. He was one of the first that I remember to say sometimes they just get tired of your voice.
Yes.
And that's why he stepped down from the Los Angeles Lakers. That was a championship team. That's the Showtime Lakers.
They stopped listening to him. Right.
The great Pat Riley. So this isn't saying McCarthy's not a good coach. Although there are things you can certainly question, but I'm with you, Rob. I just think it's sour It's time to try something new. You've got one of the best quarterbacks of all time. You've got a team. Now you got a receiver, Devontae Adams, who's really starting to come into his own.
He's a stud.
Yeah, and heck, Aaron Jones has actually been running the ball pretty well.
And you know what's weird is their defense is better than it has been in years.
Right.
Their defense is good this year.
And yet
they got playmakers in the back, you know what I mean,
Yep.
a secondary. They got a good defense.
And yet they're 4-5-1, and right now look to be on the outside looking in as far as the playoffs. And so, yeah, I would make a change. And here's the thing. I would sit down with Aaron Rodgers. Now, I'm not saying I wouldn't let him handpick the coach, but I would definitely pick his brain, which is something that they have not done in a lot of major decisions up there in Green
And don't
Bay.
forget, they got rid of Ted Thompson, their longtime GM, who was really good at drafting. And you remember, they never used to get free agents. They used to always – these were all homegrown players, right?
Yeah.
And they were always good and could win. So they've stepped away from that, which makes me think that McCarthy could be next. Because if Ted Thompson could get let go, then I think he got bumped out of this chair, but he's still with the organization.
Yeah.
But the thing you talked about, Pat Riley, I think – when, you know, like people, they don't hear you anymore. I believe if Mike McCarthy is talking to the Green Bay Packers, this is what they hear. You know what I mean? They don't hear you anymore.
I don't disagree. I don't disagree. And that's why I think it's time for a new coach in Green Bay.
Yep. I don't disagree with that.
All right.
At all.